You clean up a little bit. Hi, my name is Danny, and I am an alcoholic. And apparently, a butterfly. Wearing a contraption. I'd like to start by thanking Teresa for asking me here. Thank you so much. And Al for picking me up and taking me on the longest possible route from SeaTac to here. He said, "Don't worry, I know a longer way. Do you like to look at the back of school buses at 5 miles an hour?" It was longer than the flight. Thank you to the committee for putting on such a beautiful event and extending yourself to me as everybody has been. I've said to some people here, I have a motto for this city now because everybody that I've met has such a good grip. The men, the women, it doesn't matter. I mean, and I think there should be a t-shirt that says, "Get a grip, come to Tacoma." I want royalties from that if somebody does that. So, and who else do I need to thank? I'd like to thank, I know he's not here, but Matt sure gave me a great buzz this morning. Berta, where are you, Berta? Berta, such a beautiful, beautiful Al-Anon talk today. Thank you so much. And last night for your pitch. So, I mean, like, the buzz is here, man. You know? The buzz is here. Yeah. And, you know, that's all I ever wanted. And I know you want the big buzz. If you're looking for the big buzz, it is in this room. And 30 days, you know, and 2 days and 1 day, all the respect that I have for you. You are who I came here to talk to tonight, you know. And, of course, I have an undying love and respect for the old timers that come before me, and I'll just try to always do, you know, like the storyteller around the campfire, man. Try to tell this story pure without putting my spin on it and just putting the spin, because there isn't solutions, right? I think the chapter is called there is a solution, one solution. So there's all the pleasantries, all right? Should I begin? All right. So, I know I don't look like one, but I am an alcoholic. And I'm OCD, so I gotta put that chair in right there. I know you understand. I know that I am with my people tonight. If that banner was a little bit crooked, about 40 of you wouldn't be able to hear a word I said. You hear the laughter? Now, if you're new to AA, listen to the laughter. Because what laughter means in AA is, yeah, me too. Yeah, me too, man. And that's what we're going to try to do tonight. We're going to try to get that me too thing going, right? We're going to bond. We're going to work that first side of the triangle. Shout out to Bob. If you haven't noticed his beautiful array of talks and stuff out there, great presentation, please go see Bob. I got $20 for saying that. And Chuck has some amazing stuff out there. I am wearing some of Chuck's stuff, and I paid for it. So, see Chuck. Thank you, Chuck. So, I am the son of a colonel in the Air Force, and I was born in Columbus, Ohio. I'm the middle child, scapegoat. You know that logo for Target? I swear I had it on my forehead when I was a kid, man. Everything was my fault. It was my fault, and I had so much potential. And if only I would apply myself. Sound familiar? And so I had a younger brother. He died of mesothelioma, and I have an older brother, Raised in the same household by the same people. Neither one of them are alcoholic. Just me. And my first tool for living that I can remember was out. I wanted out. I don't know if you guys ever saw this movie. There's a movie called The Way, Way Back. You ever heard of it? It's about a station wagon, right? And we had a Rambler Ambassador station wagon. And the back seat of that station wagon faced this way. Bob's like, don't do that. It faced that way. And whenever the family was going to go somewhere, which didn't happen much, but when it did, I ran out there and I got that seat because I wanted out. I wanted out of this family, out of this car, out of this room, out of this relationship, away from you, because there's no way that this is right. I have landed on the wrong planet, and I'm definitely wearing the wrong Earth suit. I am uncomfortable, man. Me too? Me too, yeah. You know? You ever try to get into some skinny clothes when you gained a little weight just to try because you're in such denial? Boy, that's how I felt all my life. Naked. I was like, this does not fit. This is wrong. It never goes well when I talk to people. It always comes out wrong. Someone always gets mad. So out was my first tool for living. And my second tool for living was violence. I learned in my household, I'm an abused child, belt buckles and extension cords and, take it like a man, quit your crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Don't show your feelings. And I learned that if you hit something hard enough and long enough, it will agree with you or it will leave you alone. That's pretty much what I came to AA with. Out, and I loved what you said. I didn't let go unless I had to get a better grip. I love that. Man, I love that. Stealing that. The way I was told, you hear something, just give credit for it 3 times and it's yours, unless it's your sponsors. So I'm a little kid, man. All I got, I'm not fitting in my own skin, man, and everybody else seems to be doing okay, and all that, and I'm not doing so well. And we moved around a lot. I was living in Japan when I got suspended for my first, they call it acting out, seeking negative attention in a dysfunctional home. We didn't have any of those names then. It was just like, he's a little jerk. And they weren't so easy writing them prescriptions whenever anybody had anything. It was just, And so I got suspended, and I was, always looking for that attention, that negative attention, some kind of attention, that thing that we have is like, I can't stand you, but I can't afford for you not to love me. Ugh. Wow. Crazy, ain't it? That tiny, low self-esteem was a goal for me when I came to AA, A little no self-esteem and this humongous ego. There's these groups in Southern California that call that, the ego, His Majesty, the baby. Perfect. So anyway, I was like, I don't know. I'm a late bloomer. I didn't take my first drink until I was 12 years old. And it was Boone's Farm strawberry wine. Oh, yeah. As my sponsor would say, no grapes involved. Right? I was living in Washington, D.C., I think. I think I was in Washington, D.C. You might not believe this, but some of this story is kind of blurry for some reason. Me and the 3 brain cells that came here, But I do remember, that I was 12 years old. And I was a little guy, not that I'm tall now, but I was really little, and this big, huge bottle came my way. It was a big, huge bottle, and I remember strawberry, because I remember what it tasted like coming back up, right? Like the kind of throw up that only we do, like when you expect to see your socks come up, Like I'm probably going to turn inside out on this next one, Especially the Coke and Tweaker people know I'm talking about with that, dry heave and stuff. Or just like a note that says vomit comes out, An IOU for puke. A promissory note to throw up. Now you hear the laughter, right? Them too. So I'm holding on, throwing up. I remember when that bottle came my way, I did not give it back, man. And you know, like for us real alcoholics in here, by no means is Boone's Farm strawberry wine tough stuff. But when you're 12 years old and you've never had a drink, it's like turpentine, you know? And I didn't give it back. I did not get that bottle back. And that happened. That thing happened. That thing that makes me bodily and mentally different from them other two guys that I was drinking with, man. It changed my perception of reality. Right then and there, no longer, I fit in my earth suit. I felt okay. Boy, have I been looking for you. You know, we talk about, you know, on page 30, and I jump around. On page 30 of our beautiful book, it says that we lost the ability to control and enjoy our drinking. I never tried that. From the get-go, I never wanted to control my drinking. I wanted oblivion. That's what I wanted. Always, right? So I think the little next thing that I put into my little tiny body was marijuana. And back when I used to smoke weed, it had seeds in it. Dating myself, you had to get like a record album, you know, and you had to clean the seeds out, or a tray from a, you know, or shoebox top, right? And unfortunately, the kid that rolled that joint didn't know that, so the first joint I smoked, the seed pop stuck to my forehead. I'm puking out my socks, my forehead's on fire, and I'm like, dude, if this doesn't kill me, I'm doing this again, man. I love this. I love this. This is what I want. Hell yeah, man. Some of that. The next thing I think, you know, so, you know, meanwhile, man, things are getting a little crazy, you know. I'm starting to, like, do things. Lower companions always, like, I always looked up to lower companions. I always looked up to lower companions. Always. Until I became the lower companion. Right? But I always looked up to them, you know, and of course I'm to be validated and to be justified and just to get that pat on the back. I started doing crazy things with the people I was hanging with, you know, if you dared me to do something, I'd do it. And I was doing things that put my life and my freedom in jeopardy and my health in jeopardy all the time. So things were getting a little crazy. I was getting suspended from school. Where's the kids that other kids weren't allowed to play with in your neighborhood? Come on. Ta-da! There you go. Teresa, why isn't your hand up? Really? Yeah. Come on, you know, man. Oh, that's why. And so I started getting suspended from school a lot, and you know, I started being put in front of professional people with certificates on the wall with their name on it and degrees, asking me things like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Aren't you supposed to be telling me that? Aren't you supposed to be telling me that? What's wrong?" No one ever mentioned that it was maybe my drinking or my using. It was always, you know, and I had to lie a lot. I had to tell stories about these bruises and these things that were happening to me at home. I had to make up stories about falling off my bicycle a lot and things like that because no one could tell about that stuff, man, you know. And, yeah, my poor mom, she couldn't do anything about that. And so then we're in, I guess I'm going to flash forward about 15, 16 years old. We go to San Antonio, Texas. My father's working for the Inspector General's office, and things start getting really crazy. I start learning about things like Seconal, Nembutal, and then I found Southern Comfort. Improperly named. Whenever I drank that, no one was ever comfortable. Ever. I picked it because it was half round, that half pint, and it fit into my boot to get into the concerts, you know. And I had a dream then when I was, you know, running around. I did have a dream. I wanted to be the next John Bonham. And if you don't know who that is, I was the drummer for Led Zeppelin, right? I didn't want to be a convict or a mental patient or a loser or a newcomer in AA with a sense of impending doom, you know. I wanted to be something, man. I really wanted to be. I was good at it. I was naturally talented at being. I had time. I had this one thing that these guys know about that are going to be playing. The thing that you can't give a musician, that you can't be taught, time, that you have because you sang with it today. You know, you either have it or you don't. And but my alcoholism had other plans. You know, just dragging me around. And I think what happened was I got arrested for selling drugs in school, and they called my father and they said, "We have your son Danny selling these drugs in school." And he said, we don't have a son named Danny. Hung up the phone. So I became, familiar with reform schools and jails, and that's when I really started learning bad things, And then when I got out, they had moved to the Philippines. Only in AA do they laugh at this. Like, you know what I mean? Like at a Lions Club or the Kiwanis Club, you go, and then as a child, I got out of reform school, knocked on the door, and another family answered, and they would go, my God. But here, and then I attempted suicide for the 5th time and got a rope burn. Because on page 132 it says, we think that cheerfulness and laughter makes for usefulness, that if the newcomer didn't see us having fun, why would you want to be a part of this? We insist on only one thing here, enjoying life. That's the only thing that book tells me to insist upon, enjoying life. And boy, don't I. Because ain't this more fun than the people come in to tell you, I'm sorry, but you can't be a mother to your child anymore. Or you can't live with your family anymore. Or you're never we don't know when we're going to let you out of this place. Or you can't get out of the bathroom. And so on and so forth. So I'm 17. I'm running the streets of Texas, man. And I'm going to be, I hear about this job. I don't know about you. Are there any liars in the house? There you go. At that time, Teresa's hand went shooting up. I used to lie so much, I have fond memories of things that never even happened to me. You know what I mean? When you're like telling somebody a story and you're like, right in the middle, and you're like, I don't even know this, but boy, you're going to like the story, I found out about this audition for Rod Stewart when I was living in San Antonio, right? I told so many people that I drummed for Rod Stewart that when Hot Legs would come on the radio, I would be like, yeah, Danny, man, you're getting down. I never made it to the audition. I have never drummed for Rod Stewart, but I told so many people that how the book talks about that we can't distinguish the reality from the false, that I no longer know what was real and what isn't real, a brain just having alcohol poured on it for years and years and years, it's hard to know what is real and what is not. But I'm sure people have walked up to Rod Stewart and said, hey, man, I know one of your drummers, Danny D. And he's going to be like, I've never met no one named Danny or whatever, you know what I mean? It's hilarious. So, I came out to California. I was going to be a big rock star, and my drums went straight into the pawn shop, and I went straight onto the streets. And I learned how to really, 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 really drink. I met a woman that taught me how to drink 2/5 of Gilby's gin before breakfast and exactly what to eat with it to not ruin the buzz, but to keep it down. She was a good one. I married that woman. My friend had just gotten out of prison, and back then they used to give you this money called gate money. They'd give you $200 and go, good luck. And we took his $200 and we went to Las Vegas with a quarter ounce of cocaine and a big magnum of Corbel Brut, and his $200 in a Pinto station wagon, and went to Las Vegas, Nevada, and we got hitched. It was like a story out of a Quentin Tarantino movie or something, man. The stuff that happened is a whole nother pitch. And we lived in Hollywood, California, and it was absolutely incredibly insane. I had no moral compass whatsoever. I have no anchors. I have no guides. I'm not fishing with Grandpa. I don't have anybody telling me what is right and what is wrong. We're not embracing each other. We're not talking about our feelings. All we're doing is we're spending thousands of dollars trying to get to zero, the absence of pain. And I'll do anything to do it. That line that we used to have, when we go, you know what? When you look at people and go, boy, I'll never be that. I'll never do that. Right? And then you got to move that line a little bit. All right, I'll do that, but I'll never do that. You know what I mean? I remember one time when I was like, the first time, I know this is an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, however, I know that Bill and Bob also drank and used heavy sedatives, so I feel okay to tell my story here, okay? Because, I'm going to jump around. Can I borrow your big book, Teresa? Thank you. You know, in our book, we have this chapter. It's called The Doctor's Opinion, right? And in the doctor's opinion, thank you. In the doctor's opinion, he says that we learned that we had to abstain from alcohol in all of its forms. And I'm sure when they wrote this in 1937, 8, and 9, when it came out, right, that they probably meant moonshine, whiskey, bathtub, gin, beer, aftershave, that. But here it is, 2016, and half of our country, our youth, is dying of opioids and whatnot. So my job, how I interpret that is, I had to stay away from injectable alcohol, snortable alcohol, pill form alcohol, smokable alcohol. It's all anti-Danny medication. It's all made to take me out of right here, right now. Because right here, right now, I'm afraid. I'm afraid, and I'm judging the way I feel with the way you look, and I am losing every time. Right? So my job as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? So in 1955, we adopted the symbol. I love the word adopted. It's a beautiful word for steal. Like I adopted your car. I adopted your money. Right? In 1955 at the convention, they showed that there was this ancient symbol, right? We all see it. We're wearing, a lot of us are wearing it, a symbol for mind, body, and spirit. Therein lies a whole human being, seeking the balance that I have always needed and been in search of, looking for it in bottles and in syringes and in pills and in people and in shopping and in candy and right? Looking for love. All the wrong places, right? My job as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous is to create that first side of the triangle, which is unity. Unity, right? So that my mouth opens up and hopefully you will be sitting over there and think, me too. I can do it. I flew up here, bro, to tell you one thing. You can do this. You can do this, man. If I can do this, you can do this. If you're struggling and you think you can't do it, I'm here to tell you that you can do it. And you're sitting next to people that, we clean up really well. But trust me, I'm sure she's got her stories. And the people you're sitting next to, you'd think, wow, really? Really? If you could see all of us 1 week before we got sober, you'd be like, boy, do I belong here. And you do belong here. Whatever your problem is, whatever you got, bring it. We got a solution for you. We have a solution that we can all agree upon. Amen? Yeah. Hallelujah? Hallelujah. Testify. Robert Duvall, ladies and gentlemen. People listening to the CD is like, really? He said his name. What about anonymity? What about that word newcomers can't say when they read the traditions? The newcomer guy, hey, I'm working with, he goes, what's up with these traditions? And because after we do the steps, we do the traditions and we do the 12 concepts. And I said, well, Bill saw that at some speaker meetings when they took a break, he had to write something that somebody could read while they were coming back in that nobody cared about. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Take it easy. I love the traditions. Take it easy. What was I talking about? I was talking about unity in the first side of the triangle, right? So that, maybe you're sitting here and you're thinking, you know what? I've never been to New York. I don't know anything about being a stockbroker. I did other things besides drink. I've never drank. All I did was take Vicodin and Oxycontin and shot. Where's the tweakers at? You guys here? Where are you guys at? Oh, that's all, really? The rest of you are like, there may be cops in the room. Taking things apart that ain't broken, right? That's right. I love the girl tweakers. I'm a size none. They do that thing in the mirror with that. Man, it's good to be healthy and sober, isn't it? Woo! Lord. And the Rastafarians are here, right? The Rastafarians are here in a state that has recreational weed, and so what? So what? And who cares? I loved weed. I remember talking to my sponsor one time on the phone. I said, I see no reason why I can't smoke marijuana and work the 12 steps. And he said, let me know how that works out, Danny. I'll tell you how that works out. On page 34 or 36 of our book, in More About Alcoholism, it says, suddenly the thought crossed my mind that a little whiskey in my milk wouldn't be a bad idea, couldn't harm me. And if you go down 6 lines, it says, thus started another trip to the asylum for Jim. You got to get to the punchline, right? You got to get to the punchline. Because when I'm, try in and out, as you're going to hear about in the rest of my story, I'm in and out. It was always marijuana that would keep taking me back out, always. I'd be in a car. The whole world smells like, that vape crap? The whole world smells like pancake syrup and marijuana now, doesn't it? Everywhere you go. Every car that I'm behind, they're just like, what is Snoop Dogg in every single car that I'm in back of? You know what I mean? And you get up to it and it's some like 50-year-old woman in a Prius. But and I'm in the car with my 10 days sober, right? And I'm not feeling the gift or the miracle yet, I don't feel, I just got a brain that's going, man, you need to drink, and the stuff comes blowing into my car, and I'm like, and that wakes the beast up. The beast, in my lineage, we call the greater obsession of my disease, the obsession of the mind, the greater aspect, the beast, and it wakes it up, like a dog when it's sleeping. You have a dog, how when it hears something and it wakes up and goes, huh, yeah, huh? And I'd be driving, trying to go into the meeting, gonna go to the meeting, act better than I feel, right? And then I'm going there, and here comes this stuff, starts hitting me, and it's like, oh. But so I gotta, hey, suddenly the thought crossed my mind that a little non-addictive marijuana wouldn't hurt me, right? But I gotta get to the punchline, because when I smoke marijuana, I get a dry mouth, I get parched, I need a beverage of some kind, you know what I mean? And pretty soon, before you know it, I want to start, I want to take pills and start shooting dope. Before you know it, they're strapping me down on 5150, giving me a shot against my will, putting a catheter in me. Because, see? She'd never make it at the Kiwanis Club. So we got to think to the punchline, if you're new, and this beautiful, wonderful book of ours on page 24, in There Is a Solution, it says, we are unable at certain times to bring forth the suffering and the humiliation of just a week, a day ago. We are without defense against that first drink. So we need to, because the beast doesn't want to remind me of all that stuff. You know what I mean? I could be how many people have been locked up, been arrested, yeah? And you remember when you were in there, I'll do anything, just get me out of this. And as soon as I get out, I'm still wearing the band on my hand, go to the connection's house, buying stuff from them. And even the connection looks at the band on my wrist and goes, dude. The beast wanted what he wanted, and he wouldn't remind me of what I just went through, right? So I got to put in the forefront of my mind, I got to create that defense. I got to remember what it was like. I got to remember what it's like to be the man in the bed. And the best way to remember that is to go visit him and be the man who visits the man in the bed. And I know I'm jumping around, so I'm going to back up, right? Right? Yeah. Let's hear it for the man in the bed, right? Yeah. That's Bill W. and Dr. Bob visiting Bill D., correct? I got to watch myself, man. There's some serious time here. Oh, my God. Hey, let's look in Teresa's big book. Peggy's? I have a resentment against Tim. No, I'm kidding. Kidding. So there I am running around. So we're going to back up. I was married to this woman. In 1985, she was on the back of a Harley Davidson. She was killed by a drunk driver. I was out there running crazy around. Have no idea why that wasn't me. Well, I do have an idea. There's a chapter about it. It's called Working with Others. I know why it didn't happen to me. I don't know how it didn't. But I know why. I know why I'm here. I used to say, I don't know why I'm here. I know why I'm still here. Carry that message. So I guess I was 22 years old. I'd become a wino again. I was in San Francisco, California. I was living in Civic Center Park, wearing everything I owned. I had holes in my teeth. I had mats in my hair. Laugh. And I had mats in all my hair, and I was just covered with urine, and I was like the color of, when you've been a wino, and you kind of get this iodine color going, this rust color, and that was the best. I had full circled around from that Boone's Farm wine back to that MD 2020 or that night train. The good stuff. Again, no grapes involved, Mogan David. Friends of mine. And this was the best thing that I could remember. I had dreams. I wanted to be this great musician, you know what I mean? And I would get little things going. And every time I would get something going, like we do, we pick that exact time where we work and work and work to try to make something happen, and we pick that exact moment to just blow it all up. Page 82 of our book sure says it good, doesn't it? The alcoholic is like a tornado, roaring through the lives of others. Phew. Roaring. So I was living in Civic Center Park, San Francisco. I was wearing everything I owned. I'd never heard of Alcoholics Anonymous. I had been in many nut houses. I had been incarcerated. I had living in a world of nothing but violence. Living on the street at the time now, and the best, living in doorways, and I was hiding. I was hiding in this. Where is it? We used to have something called phone booths. We did. We had phone booths. You could put money in the phone booth and call someone. And guess what? If they weren't home, the phone would just ring and ring and ring and ring and ring. They were out doing something. And they were out eating their dinner, not taking pictures of it, not making people look at it. And dig this, Tracy. If you wanted to see my cat, you had to come in my house to see my sleeping cat. So there I was hiding in a phone booth because I loved nighttime. Nighttime, nobody could see me. So that mat of hair, I would just put the mat of hair over my face because I couldn't look you in the eye. The only time I could look you in the eye was when I was trying to manipulate you. Because if you don't look somebody in the eye when you're trying to manipulate them, they'll think you're trying to manipulate them. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but the rest of the time, I spent years just looking at my feet. Because I knew if I connected with you, if I locked eyes with you, you would know how I truly felt about myself. I couldn't look at you. I believed all the stuff that I was told growing up as a kid. That you're nothing, you're never going to be nothing, you're never going to have the capacity to love or be loved. And I believed it, and I was going to prove it. I knew whatever was happening to me, I deserved. The mirror was not my friend. Whenever I'd get lucky enough to get into a motel or a hotel, the first thing that would happen is either I'd take a bar of soap and I'd soap up the mirror, or usually I'd break the mirror. I would see myself and break the mirror. I just couldn't stand me. And anytime that, I would take handfuls of pills and just I hope this kills me. And if it, and I'd come out of a blackout or come out of some kind of OD and go and just be so disappointed that I was not only still alive, but I was still me. Hated being me. I wanted to be anything but me. And I would look at people that had it so rough and go, I'd trade with that person in a minute just to feel different. I would hide in these phone booths. They used to have these kind of phone booths that were looked like little metal half spaceships, and I could hide in there or pretend I had no one to call. I had no one to call. Nothing. Nothing. No one. And I would be in there pretending I would be on the phone so nobody would, kick me off the phone. And one time I was in there and somebody had put this sticker in there. It said, do you have a drinking problem? Call 1-800-Alcoholics Anonymous or something like that. So and if you've never been to Alcoholics Anonymous and you just hear that, it sounds like they're going to be wearing masks, because they're anonymous, and robes, and alcoholic sounds like, a guy walking down the street with a brown paper bag or that's what I was. Oops. Yikes. And so anyway, I called this number, and I could hear on the other, I could see what she looked like, and like, I always felt different from you. I always felt different from you. If you weren't me, I couldn't identify with you, I don't care who you are now. No matter who you are in here, I have something in common with you. I can always find something in common with you. I can relate to you. I can say me too, whoever you are. But this woman answered the phone, and I knew right away she didn't know how I felt. She said,
Alcoholics Anonymous, this is Judy. How can I help you?
And like at this point, if I'm not screaming at you, this is how I could talk.
Sir, do you think you have a drinking problem?
I was not in control of my emotions, okay? I was no longer in charge of this ship right here, man. I was like, if you talked to me or spoke to me or showed me 1/10 of kindness, the stuff that I had been holding in my whole life, you know what I mean? Oh. So I managed to tell her my name, and I managed to tell her that I think I did have a drinking problem. And she said, do you think you can get to Bush and Goff Street? Now, if you don't know the landscape of San Francisco, the Civic Center Park is here, and Bush and Goff is up here. And if you're an alcoholic and there's not a drink at the other end of this trip, that's a long, 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 long way. You know what I mean? I'll roller skate in the rain to get a drink. But some of these guys that I sponsor, it's amazing. I was going through the, working out the steps. You know how when you're planning out with your sponsee about how they're going to plan of action, of how they're going to make their amends, And he was telling me, kind of bragging about how he owed this amends to this person that lived on the 9th floor of this building, and how he had climbed down the 9th floor with one hand, because in the other hand was a plasma TV that he had sheets wrapped around. He did it without breaking it and managed to get it to the connections house. And he was proud. But when I asked this same guy to go 2 miles to get to the meeting tonight, dude, bro. It's amazing. When we read this book in Working with Others, it says, seeing your man for the second time, he has read this volume. You're seeing him for the second time, he's read the whole book. Here we are like now, the guy's got 9 months. Are you done with the doctor's opinion yet? Come on. You know what I mean? Really? Boy, they didn't screw around back then, did they? And I try not to either. I try to work with the people that mean business, because I don't want to waste my time where I could be helping somebody that is eager and wants it, right? So anyway, I climb up there and I walk into my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And the first thing that happened was, you know how there's these gigantic people, the people that love to hug? There's people, they're like professional huggers, you know what I mean? Like, I think World Service pays them to hug, Like this guy, he was like that guy Grizzly Adams, he saw me come in, and I looked like, I look like a dirty, peed on parking meter. That's what I look like, right? Broken in every single way. And he saw me, and he came running over, and he goes, he started coming over, and I thought, oh, good, I've probably been here before. Guess I've been here, And he goes, I love you. And he gives me this big hug like that, And I go, as tough as I could, I go, don't ever hug me again. And he goes, yeah, whatever. Yeah, right? He hugged me. And the next thing that happened, this little beautiful lady, like a mom, there's a lot of you in here like that have the epitome of mom. There's a lot of moms in here. If you lost a mom, or if you lost a dad, you lost a brother, you lost a sister, we got it here. You can get another family. Because a family doesn't mean the same blood flowing through you. It means a family is a group of people that are into the purpose of a good cause, all in moving in the same direction. And I definitely believe we are family tonight, right? Right? We are family. I had to get one in for Berta. So the next thing I have, this woman walked up, she had this little Florence Henderson, that's Mrs. Brady. Google it. She had this little Florence Henderson hairdo, like that girl, right? And she had this little sweater, and she just, everything about her is like, I'm surprised she didn't have a dozen cookies with her, you know what I mean? She just came over to me, she put her arms around me. Now, keep in mind now, the only time I'm getting touched is when the business person who's opening their business now of the doorway that I'm sleeping in is kicking my feet to tell me, move it, pal. Or when I'm getting, that's it. That's the only time I'm getting or in a fist fight. There's no hugs going around at the bar. No, not the ones that I was in, right? At the Dope Connections house. Yes, I'd like 3 grams of black tar heroin, an 8-ball, and a hug, please. It didn't happen. He'd probably give it to me if I'd paid him for it. And she gave me this hug. She put her arms around me and she said, you never have to feel like you're feeling anymore if you don't want to. And that dam that I was holding back shattered, man. It shattered like a piece of glass. I couldn't believe that she was hugging me. I couldn't hug her back. And I was just like, oh, you know. And so I started going to the same meeting. They had meetings there 4 nights a week. I kept going to this meeting. Every time I'd walk in, here came Grizzly Adams. I go, don't hug me, dude. He put me down. Every time, no matter what he was doing. That guy could have been sanding furniture, man, and he'd have stopped to give me a hug, you know? And then one night, like on my 7th meeting, I came in. He just kept talking right there. He just kept, and so I was like, hey. Now I don't care, man. When big guys hug me, I just lift my leg. You know? Nuzzle. Ask them where they work out. I love hugging, man. It's my paycheck for speaking in an AA meeting, that line of hugs. And please, everyone in this room, line up and give me a hug. It'll be free, no charge. I can't believe I'm saying this. So I'd like to tell you from that moment on, I've stayed sober and have never taken another drink, but that is not my story. Where are the people in here that have relapsed and don't have their original sobriety date? Yes. And, you know, I'd come in and out, and I'd have people, come on in, come on. Okay. That's the band. You know, our book talks about the most important thing that we could possibly do for a newcomer in here is to create the first side of the triangle, is unity, right? Is to make you feel a part of. And I have definitely walked into meetings and not felt a part of. I have come in and out, and I have had people scream to me from across the room, how many days you got now, Danny? Well, that's not going to make me feel very good about myself. In working with others, it says, see your man alone. Probably so you won't embarrass him. Probably so you have a chance of maybe him coming back and staying. Don't push them out. Let's not push them out. Let's reel them in. Let's make them feel loved the way I was. It's going to be one of those emotional nights, man, with fluorescent lighting. Ugh. Okay. So I came in and out. In 1985, I started 8 years of white knuckle, I sponsor myself, no big book, no steps, untreated alcoholism. Did you notice I didn't call it sobriety? It was not sobriety. I was crazier than any newcomer you'd ever want to meet at 8 years of untreated alcoholism. I was just going to meetings. That's all I was doing, going to meetings. Now, if you're just going to meetings and that's all you're doing, probably better than what you were doing. But may I offer more? Because I know that's only one of 4 things that I need to do. Go to meetings, get a sponsor, work the steps, help others. Blammo. Good night. Right? So it was inevitable that I was going to drink again. It was inevitable. The way I was acting, my behavior, oh my God. How anybody could keep doing the things that I was doing and not take a drink, I'd have to be a sociopath. Take it easy. The jury, huh? I feel a special closeness to you all now. as you judge me. So, there I was just going to all these meetings to hook up, and, meeting the girls and asking them, would you like to go for coffee? You know what that means in AA, right? Coffee. Because on page 30 of our book, right in the middle, the first time it ever mentions a step, it says we learned that we had to concede to our innermost self that we were alcoholic. This is the first step to recovery. I had never conceded. I had never, ever conceded to myself. What does that mean, concede? Well, I see a lot of you have been in handcuffs before, right? Remember when you were on the side of the road and he had you like this? And before he got you into the handcuffs, remember when he had your fingers, like that grip on your fingers? And he was patting you down? And the cop had to get your hand from here to here? Remember that? Anybody? A lot can happen from here to here. That the alcoholic brain shows up and says, maybe I don't feel like going to jail tonight. Oh my God. I hated when that guy showed up. Oh my God. And if I don't concede, I will suffer the consequences of my behavior. And I had never conceded and truly believed that I was a pickle. I thought I was a cucumber. I thought I could drink again. I thought I could control. It is the great obsession of every single person in this room, if you're alcoholic, that you could one day control and enjoy your drinking. That if I try this instead of that, or if I try this or go here, or maybe wait till Tuesday, or blah, 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 right? Right? And it just doesn't work. And here we are. And so on my 8th birthday, I went to a meeting. Big as a house, and Neanderthal guy, and driving a purple Harley Davidson, parked it in the doorway of a meeting, so daring anyone to come near it because I was just out of my mind. I went into the room and talked shamelessly as I took a chip and told them, you don't work. Alcoholics Anonymous does not work. And I had no idea what Alcoholics Anonymous was. I had no idea that we are named after this book, right? And if I'm not practicing the principles that are laid out in this book, then I am not a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I am only going to meetings. I am not in AA yet. I can have a membership to a gym, but if I don't go in there and work out, I'm not really a member, right? I got to pick this up, right? And I told them, and I challenged every man in the room to a fist fight. My motto, that I said every day, all my life to men was, I would say, I hope you don't like it, and I hope you want to do something about it. I'll be right out there. And I waited like Jake LaMotta, ready to go, come on. Pretty far from happy, joyous, and free, Days were long for Danny. Long. Yeah, at war with the world, looking for trouble. Oh, yeah? What's your problem? Oh, my God. Can't believe. Thank God that guy's dead. Because the guy you see standing here before you is, I don't feel like, I don't look like, I don't taste like, I don't smell like, and I don't think like the man that came to Alcoholics Anonymous. I am not that man. I am not him. He's dead. And what resurrected me and saved me was you. So there I was, man. Crazy stuff started happening to me. And about the time OJ trial was on, I jumped off of a gate while I was drunk on Southern Comfort, shattered both my heel bones. Yeah, the only thing that really changed then was I was taking a wheelchair to the Connections house. That ain't going to slow me down 2 broken heels, Percocet and Southern Comfort. And I was... having such a hard time. I had this great, huge band that I'd actually, it's funny, isn't it amazing? And I'd like to take this time right now to acknowledge, can I see the hands of the Al-Anon in the room? Thank you so much. I really want to say, again, the amount of respect that I have for you, and how lucky and blessed we are as alcoholics to somehow have managed to attract or maintain or keep somebody that loved us when we were unlovable, when all we did was cause you pain, and how people would believe in me and how they would invest in me, like as a singer of this great band, these beautiful men got together and invested 2 years of their life, and I just tore it down, right, because of my alcoholism. And in 1994, my girlfriend at the time, who was 14 years sober, Victoria Smart, I was living in her house, and she said, Danny, you can live with me, you can sleep in my bed, I will cook for you, you could drive my car, but you got to come to one more meeting. Because she would go to meetings, and lovingly, she would just pull the car around to where I was, and she'd go, I'm going to a meeting, want to go? And rah, 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 rah. Hey, it don't work, screw those people, blah, blah, blah. And she finally laid down the law. She said, if you want to live here, you got to come to one more meeting. You got to go to one meeting. I said, well, I'm not stupid. Hey. So she takes me to this meeting. It's called Rodeo. This meeting is 700 people with Dolce & Gabbana, Christian Dior, Prada, veneered teeth. Everyone is doing better and looking 6 inches taller than me, and all are beautiful. They're all gorgeous, Half of them have facelifts, Yeah. But they're just, it's a tough room to be new in. You're sticking out, you know what I mean? You remember like Pigpen, Charlie Brown? I just felt like that little cloud was there, and I was holding a balloon that said, loser, right here. And, I had come in and out so much. It's hard when you're going back into meetings, and I felt like such a loser anyway. And then I'm coming back into meetings. So I'm sitting there in this meeting, and I'm like 50 rows back in a place that's probably got 150 rows on the aisle. And this guy named Earl was speaking. And I'd never heard of him, never seen him. And it was like, in a movie where they do a close-up when they not only do they move the camera, but they move the subject too. I felt like that man was talking straight to me. No one else was in the room. I connected with that man. I was just like, my God, he's telling my story, man. He is telling my story. They say if you come around long enough, you will meet someone tell a story, and I know we're talking about the promises tonight, and every time I ever heard the promises read at a meeting, I think, oh yeah, and a unicorn's going to walk in too, I will know and understand, comprehend peace. Really? Yeah. You don't know what's going on in here. I walked up to that man after that meeting and I said, will you sponsor me? And he said, yeah. And for 15 years, that man didn't give up on me. He always saved me a seat. He didn't tell me about alcohol. He didn't tell me about Alcoholics Anonymous. He showed me. He didn't say, go set up chairs. He said, come on. Let's go set up chairs. He never said, go stand in line and thank the speaker. He said, come on, let's go thank the speaker. He showed me AA. And no matter how crazy my life was or I was out there doing whatever, the phone would ring. He would call me and he would just say, just wanted to let you know I love you and I was thinking about you. Every time it was so dark, he would reach into me. He would reach in and just squeeze my heart just enough to crack me open, just to keep me going a little bit. I did not believe in me, but he did. And I couldn't understand it. But it didn't matter if I understood it or not. On page 14 where it says when Bill had that spiritual experience and he stood in front of the doctor said, yes, something has happened to you. I don't know what it was, but you better hang on to it. Anything's better than what you used to have. And we've heard it so many times here in AA where I came here and I didn't know if I wanted what you had. I didn't know what you had, but I just knew that I didn't want what I had anymore. And I just could not drink. I would wake up in the morning and I would beg whatever was, only thing I believed in is I knew that Earl believed. I believed that Earl believed. That was all. I knew most of you were liars. You're all a bunch of liars. Never felt like I felt. But I knew that man. I knew he felt like I felt. And I knew he believed in something. And it was enough. I go, all right, I believe he believes. And I'd come in and out, and I'd come in the room. And if you never want to get sober, by the way, if you never want to get sober, you want to keep relapsing, just get to the meeting late, sit down, don't talk to anybody, leave before the meeting's over. And that's what I did. Sit in the very back, judge everyone, right? You know, I could dislike the speaker before he said a word just by seeing where he was sitting. Sweater vest? He knows nothing about me. Like I said, if you weren't me, I couldn't connect with you, you know? And I'd sit there, and the beast would just take over and tell me, drink, and I couldn't, and I hadn't been, I hadn't been beaten into that state of reasonableness yet. And I'm sitting in my home group, so now I go to this facility. I become a guest of the state. I got to tell you something. My sponsor stood in line for 7 hours to see me for 6 minutes in the LA County Jail. My sponsor drove across California to visit me for 20 minutes in prison. My sponsor came to Thalion's Mental Center when they were putting me on a 5150. My sponsor showed up over and over and over for nothing. For nothing. I inconvenienced that man. He never gave up on me, man. So, I love getting emotional in a room with people in it. So, turned out I was from the west side. While I was in prison, my sponsor moved to the valley. So, I got to move to the valley too, because that's where my only anchor is. That's where the only light at the end of the darkest tunnel is. That's my only chance is there. I'm going to go. I want to be sober. Know this. For that 15 years, I wanted to be sober. I really wanted to. I just couldn't, right? So we had this home group. It's called the Good Old AA Group in Sherman Oaks, California, Monday night. The best Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in the entire world, by far. It was an hour meeting, participation, and you couldn't raise your hand. You had to be called on. You know those meetings where you have to be called on? It's a great place to get a resentment, because immediately, I'm not good enough, huh? It's a click. And once again, I am not good enough. And I would hate you, And I know I've done the inventory work. I know why I hated you because it couldn't be called on. Because I thought, I'm never going to be called on. I'm never going to be good enough to be called on. Instead of being able to, I don't know how to process that feeling. And so instead of being able to say, gee, I wish I could get called on too, I just go, screw you. Right? So Earl would save me a seat in that meeting. He always saved me a seat on a Monday night. And man, two hardest things I've ever done in my life. Now, I've been in fights with entire sheriff departments. A whole bar, right? Was nothing to me. That was standard. No, that was Tuesday night, right? Whatever. But the two hardest things I've ever done in my life. Hard thing number 1, 7th grade, gymnasium, junior high school dance. All the dudes on one side, all the girls on the other. That long walk of slow death. Walk all the way over. Hi, would you like to dance? I don't like this song. The loser balloon's out again. Everybody gets to see what a loser Danny is, right? And then she's out on the dance floor in 2 minutes to the same song with the varsity guy with the perfect teeth who's this tall, And the second thing, hardest thing I've ever done? Walk into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous with greeters on either side of the door. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Really? This is a person who has no idea. Chit-chat? How do you chit-chat without snorting the foul line at Dodger Stadium? You know what I mean? Really? If I'm going to chit-chat, I need a tumbler about this big. You let me drink about that much, maybe I might be able to go, oh, really? And then what happened? Now, here I am. Feelings are coming up out of me that I've been pushing down all my life. They're coming out of me, and I'm like, ah! On the inside, that's what's happening, right? I'm like walking around, ah! But I'm like, it's cool. You know what they say? Acting better than I feel. inside I'm committing homicide and suicide at the same time, right? But on the outside except I can hide everything except that one vein on my forehead, they say I'm dying of fine. How you doing? Fine. There I'd pull up to the Monday night meeting, and I'd see them. I'd see that group of people. There they are. They look like, these people, they look like Pleasantville. They all got that big, android smile on their face, And they're like greeting you before you're even into the room, up to the door, And I would pull up and I'd go, not tonight, Can't do it. I needed a back door of some kind, you know what I mean? Sometimes I just had to go in there and I'd just go, let's do it, man. Toughest thing I've ever done, man. Walk up there, take it easy. If you're a greeter, take it easy. If you see that crazy look on their faces, give them a little bit of room. How you doing? Some people are like, how you doing? You got a book? You got a sponsor? Dude. I just found my left butt cheek with my hand. I have no idea. How am I doing? I'm dying of a hopeless and seemingly state of mind and body. What about you? Can't even pay my phone bill. You're asking me how I'm doing. So I go to the meeting. And at participation meeting where, if you lead the meeting, the secretary they'll tell you, listen, there's always one person that you should not call on your home group, who just rambles on too long or is nuts, and they'll go, hey, listen, whatever you do, don't call on him. And if accidentally that person does get called on, the whole room goes, we all don't act better than we feel. I became that guy. I had become the guy that should not be called on. I became the angry guy that Earl sponsors. Right? And I guess, so the meeting was 50 people on this side, 40 people on this side, facing each other. Oh my God, that was hard. Just averting your eyes the whole time. And a leader who obviously didn't get the memo one night and said to me, would you like to share? And I'm sitting next to Earl and I go, can I say whatever I want? And he goes, go ahead. I said, with foul language that I'll never use now, I said, I believe every one of you in here is full of, you know what? You're a bunch of liars, and I believe if I was on fire right now, not one of you would pee on me. No one said a word, because I was, and this woman, 2 rows behind me, Margie, she goes, I'd pee on you, Danny. And the whole room laughed, and guess who else laughed? I laughed. For the first time in my life, I felt that chip fall off my shoulder right then and there, and I knew I want to be in Alcoholics Anonymous. I had been to thousands of meetings before, and I never, ever, ever felt that I could be part of. And at that very moment, I want this. I want this thing. I am one too. I want this thing. I'll do whatever it takes, man. And as soon as that meeting was over, as soon as the group left Earl, I got him up to him, I go, dude, I'll do whatever you want me to do. For the first time in 15 years, I said, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Tell me what to do. Tell me. And at some meetings, they got that, that person that all they show you is their neck. Maybe a tattoo right here, All they're missing is a neon sign that says, stay away. Stay away. That was me, right? He goes, go say hi to that guy. And I'm thinking, dude. But what came out of my mouth was, okay. Okay. It happens around here, right? Once we become willing, they'll say, and we need a GSR at our, what? I have volunteered for things involuntarily so many times. I'm like, oh my God, what did I just sign up for? Oh my God. Whew. So that started my sobriety. Contrary action. I am contrary action man. I do what I don't want to do, and I do not do what I would like to do, which is usually a non-action, right? Best advice my sponsor gave to me? Just shut up, Danny. Just shut up. There are people probably doing life sentences that wish they could have just paused when agitated. I love that part in the book. It goes, honey, this is getting a little heated right now. Maybe we should just cool off for a minute. Maybe I'll bring you back inside the window. Oh. So, we will understand and know the meaning of the word peace. I do. I fit inside my skin. How? How did that happen? Step one, what's the problem? I have to identify the problem if I want to fix the problem, right? I'm good at a lot of stuff, but lack of power seems to be my dilemma when it comes to drinking and using. That's my problem. Step two, what's the solution? That a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity, soundness of mind, relieve me of the obsession so I can walk the earth a free man, no longer enslaved by the beast, right? That the promise has come true for me of the second step. What is the promise of the second step? What are they talking about? What insanity? The insanity of knowing what I know about myself and taking that first drink. That insanity. I am sane. I have been restored to sanity. I know what will happen to me. And the obsession is gone. It's gone. Step three, that I turn my will and my life over to the care of a God as I may or may not understand. Right? I love, there's this great story told by Thich Nhat Hanh, and he talks about this guy riding this horse. And this guy's riding a horse that a horse is running as fast as he can. And the guy run right past this other guy. And the guy on the ground says, "Hey, where are you going?" And the guy on the horse says, "I don't know, ask the horse." Step three. That's step three for me, man. I don't know. I'm going somewhere, but whenever I get there, know this. I'm going to be armed with some facts, and I'm going to be useful, and I'm going to be helpful. I'm going to leave a footprint on this planet where I have not been a disaster or caused people harm today. People are going to be glad to see me, and when I leave, they're going to be glad that I showed up because I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Step four, I'm going to swallow some large chunks of truth about myself. I'm going to do an inventory. How free do I want to be? How free do I want to be? I want to be free. I came here with two fists, right? Let's see what time I'm timing myself here. Okay. I came here with, I really needed to let go, and I came here a very, very angry 5'10" child that had no idea how to process a feeling or had never thought about things like, what do I think about that, right? And I did this inventory. Why should I do an inventory? Because I need to get rid of the one thing that keeps me from you, fear. I got to kill the fear. I got to get rid of the resentment, right? And there's no such thing as a vacuum. So if I get rid of the fear, if I get rid of the poison, guess what it gets to be replaced by? Love. My higher power. Love. The thing that I know that floats through every single person in this room. Alcoholics Anonymous doesn't teach me how to be spiritual. The 12 steps won't teach me how to be spiritual. I came here spiritual. Anybody that held a baby that knows that little baby is a pure little ray of light. And every one of us in here came in the world that way. But I adopted an ego and a fear. Self. Remember Clint Hodges used to say, "I'm self-centered. I need to find a new center." 12 steps helps me break down and destroy self so that I can be me. I remember when I read for the first time that I cut off myself from the sunlight of the Spirit. I thought that it only came from up here. If I break down self, then I get to love you, and I get to let you love me, which is why I'm here, right? You know that book, do you ever see that movie, The Bucket List? Remember that movie? I thought it was so stupid before I never saw it, and I thought it was stupid. You know us, right? I don't need to know anything about anything to hate it. Right? And I had been destroyed by this woman. And I was on the fetal position in my apartment, looking at the place where we were last night, looking at the dish that we had eaten out of. You know how we are, right? I was hurting. I was destroyed. 8, 9, 10 months sober, not feeling the gift yet. And here's this movie on. And if you don't know the movie, Morgan Freeman plays this guy who has no money. He's just a hardworking dude with cancer, but he has a faith. And Jack Nicholson is playing this guy who's a billionaire tycoon who believes in one thing only, money, and has no faith. And one guy's trying to enlighten the other guy, right? Which is all we are trying to do to the newcomer, trying to help and to enlighten you, get you to your path to God, right? That's what I think. That's what it says in the big book, right? Page 45. Lack of power, that is my dilemma. I guess I need a power, obviously. Well, how am I to find this power? Well, that's what this whole book is about. Its main purpose is to get you to a power greater than yourself to help you with your problem. Doesn't say anything about drinking. Right? On We Antagonists. That's what I thought it was called. So I come out of my little crying jag, and I see the movie. In the movie, Morgan Freeman, Jack, they're sitting on top of the pyramids in the pyramids, and he's talking about that the ancient Egyptians believed that when you came to the gates of heaven, that you were asked 2 questions, and the first one was, "Do you think you've ever experienced true joy?" And the second one was, "Do you think that you have ever brought joy to another person?" And at that very moment, I felt this hand on my back, and I felt loved by something, and that feeling has never, ever, ever gone away. And what I know in my heart is that those 2 things are synonymous. Is that the joy that I feel is by bringing joy to another. That is my purpose. My purpose as a man is to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, is to carry this message. AA is what I do between meetings. All the time. Always. And I've worked all the steps several times. I sponsor a lot of guys. If you want to learn AA, obviously the best way to learn it is to teach AA, right? I want to tell you a story about my sponsor, okay? My sponsor, man, who I love so much. I never knew that I could love somebody like that, like that I could ever love, be loving. And, I became a greeter at that Monday night meeting. See, I have this sponsor translator, right? Because I just was saying to him one night, "Man, greeters," and Earl just goes, because he's not a dictator, he just goes, because tough love would not have worked for me. Only gentle, tender love would work for me. That was the only thing that was going to get through to me, because I never had it. And he just goes, "That greeting thing looks like a pretty darn good idea." My brain goes, "Get that commitment or die." So I went and took that commitment. He's never had to push me. Whenever I come across like things with my sponsees where they don't want to, I don't have experience with that. Because I always want to. I'm like a Labrador. You throw the ball, and I'll bring it back. Throw it again, Throw it again. Give me, come on. Hey, yeah. So I was greeting with these, back when I was like 9 months sober or something like that, I was like, and I was greeting with all these people that I hated, but I wouldn't let them know. And I swiped my card. I was going to buy those dumb people donuts one night. And the ATM said, "Please contact Financial Center." That is never good news. It's never like your bank account's too big and you need to get some money and put it in another bank because it doesn't fit. It's like, it's an express path to the 9th step. Thanks to the IRS and the franchise board, thank you, we want the money you owe us. It's a levy. And boy, did I go out of my mind. I punched my steering wheel so hard in my truck, I don't know how the airbag didn't deploy. And I called my sponsor, and he goes, "Danny, just go do your commitment." And how when Forrest Gump found out on the boat that his mama was sick and he just jumped off and swam fully clothed? My sponsor tells me something, "Yes, sir." "Okay, Jenny." You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm Bubba Gump. You know, you want some shrimp? There you go. Shrimp sandwich, shrimp soup. There you got it. So I show up and I'm listening to all these people while I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I don't know how I'm going to make my car payment. I don't know how I'm going to eat. I'm an electrician. I'm working at the W Hotel in Hollywood, right? I'm living in a tiny pad. It's 100 million degrees, and I'm listening to people talk about their problems like, I don't know what kind of wood to pick, mahogany or zebra wood for our floors, you know, and I'm biting my tongue wanting to go, you have no idea what it's, you know, or whatever, and I just did my commitment. Fast forward, like 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in my apartment, it's 117 degrees, no air conditioning, just got off of work, and I gotta go to that dumb meeting with those dumb people, and I feel defeated, but I'm gonna go, because I'm gonna go. And the phone rings. It's my sponsor. He says, come and meet me at the corner of Ventura and Reseda. Now, if you're doing brain surgery and your sponsor tells you to come meet you, you put a towel on the head and you go see your sponsor. Because that's your sponsor. That's the person that saved your life, listened to your ridiculous insanity for nothing. So I show up and I go, you know, and I park my little truck with the whiskey wrinkles all over it way in the back of the parking lot because I'm so embarrassed. It's so dented up. I had to like walk on in, you know, and I'm just like, oh. And Earl's standing there, you know, and he's got this big envelope, you know. He's holding this envelope, you know. If you don't know Earl, he's a very animated guy, right? And I'm like, oh. And I walk up, hey man, how's it going? He goes, this is for you. And I'm like, well, what's that? He goes, open it and find out, right? So it's this piece of paper. It says, this is an anonymous gift. Keep it or pass it on. I'm like, no self-esteem. I don't deserve this. I said, what is this? He goes, it's a stack of money, like that. I said, what is this? He says, you know those people you greet with? Those people you hate at the Monday night meeting? The ones that you think wouldn't pee on you? They all got together because they found out about you, Danny, that you were going to, you know, you couldn't pay your rent. You were going to leave. They were afraid you were going to leave, and they love you. And they want you to stay. So you take this. And I snatched it out of his hand, man, and I gave him one of those dude hugs, you know. Didn't want to get emotional. And broad daylight with a man in the sun. So I ran to my car, and as I ran to my car, just as I was about to get in my truck, Earl yelled the most important thing that anyone's ever said to me. He said, hey, Danny, you're part of something now. The dam broke, man. Anything I was holding back at that point, boosh, got in my car. Oh, God, I'm part of the... Oh, I'm driving, man. I'm still pulling over. I'm driving. I'm stuck at a green light. Can't drive because I'm crying so hard. Holding this paper, and this woman's honking her horn next to me. She goes, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "I'm part of something. Part of something." She's like, "Whatever, you know." So I go into my little apartment, my tiny little apartment that now looks palatial. I'm sitting there holding this little piece of paper. And I could still hear them tears, man. I can still hear the tears hitting that page that represented, it wasn't the money, man. It was that paper that said that this, you know, that represented something that I was part of finally, that I knew I could do it, that word maybe was in there. Because when I got here, it was never. Nope, never. Not me, not going to happen. I'm going to die and I deserve it. No, maybe I can do this. Maybe I don't have to die. Maybe I can get my daughter back. Maybe I can have a job. Maybe I can matter. Maybe I can help somebody. Maybe. And I can. And if you're brand new, I want to tell you, bro, you are definitely part of something. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.